I'm a girl on fire, I'm not a victim. A girl on fire, I'll stand my ground. Girl on fire, I've made a choice, I stand proud. I'm a girl on fire. I'm a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend. I'm every woman. I have taken up arms and I choose to defend all that.
Dominique Oxley here for Ghosted Girls on Fire, 16 Days of Action for No Violence Against Women and Children. I'm here with the stunning Dominique.
Thank you for having me.
Tibbles.
Yes, that's right.
Welcome and thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
So let's start off. Where did you grow up? Who is Dominique?
Sure. So I was born in the Free State in Bloem. So I'm still a Cheetah supporter. So if the Lions and Cheetahs play, I'll still remain a loyal Cheetah fan. And my family moved around quite a lot. So we've lived in Kimberley, Free State. But my main school careers was Randfontein. I matriculated in Randfontein, a steadfast alma mater of Hoërskool Rivierkrant. And then from there I was in the restaurant industry for quite some time, so didn't have the opportunity to go to varsity straight after school, but got the MBA of life. So I'm a registered tax practitioner with UNISA. I have my Gen Tax with UNISA, and through that, I mean, I think today if my accounting teacher meets me again today, he'll fall on his back, because I think ek het nog velle wat teruggroei from not passing accounting and now running an accounting business. So it proves that, you know, don't say you can't, just get the right mind frame and do it, get there. So yes, and now a resident of Krugersdorp.
And in terms of, you've started something very interesting, and that's a t-shirt, Belly to Brain.
Belly to Brain, that's right.
What is your story, and why did you start Belly to Brain? What's your personal story? How did you get onto this journey?
So Belly to Brain is very much a passion project which was born in 2019. I founded Belly to Brain in 2019. We received our official Section 18A and company registration documents in 2020, just before COVID, thanks. And it's born out of a pay-it-forward mentality. You know, I'm a victor, not a victim, of abuses, sexual, emotional, physical abuse in my life. That's a journey that I have walked, the path that I walked. My stepfather, my first stepfather that I knew, I only found out in 2020 that he's my stepfather. Up until the age of 42, I was told that he's my biological dad. And that was a big secret that Mom took to the grave with her. And he sexually abused me, physically abused me and my sisters, very much small man syndrome. And
from a young age?
Oh yes, my parents got divorced when I was 10 years of age, so yes, so obviously whenever he didn't have a woman in his life, the target was me, especially when drinking was involved. I would always know exactly when it was going to happen. Daar was familievriende that we used to visit, and the booze would be flowing, and I would know. There were triggers that I knew, okay, tonight's the night. And invariably, 9 times out of 10, when I suspected things would happen, they did happen. So, and that carried on for about 3 years until we moved back to my mom when she remarried. Then we all moved in together with my mom and I call him my dad. He was my second stepdad, but he's my dad, you know. He loved us. I mean, we were 8 kids in the house. He's 5 kids, my brothers and sisters from his prior marriages, and then us. And I always felt so sorry for him because we were 6 girls and 2 brothers. So the boys never got to speak up much, you know, only we ruled the roost. And, you know, he showed us what it was like to be a father. And then just, you know, going through the motions of relationships in my life that was also physical and emotional. I mean, I had a boyfriend who, he got the privilege or the honor or the opportunity to go to varsity, and in that same year, he was a year older than me. I started working in the restaurant industry as a waitress at the age of 15. Not allowed to do that anymore. And he just told me I'd become nothing in my life because I would find that earning tips and money is a nice thing, and that would result in me not aspiring to be more, and I'd be nothing. And, you know, I'd love to meet him one day and just go, you know what, thanks, because at least he can't say, well, I told you so. And it's that emotional abuse of being diminished because of your life circumstances. Your life circumstances don't determine the phenomenal person that you can be, the inspiration you can be. Your testimony can be somebody's textbook one day. And I also had phenomenal people, women and men in my life growing up or coming through the high school journey of my life. My best friend, who's one of my directors, Enid's mom, Alna, she taught us what it's like to be a mother, how to love your children. Well, you know, it's not really even a how to, it should be natural to love your children. You birthed them. So why should your children be a burden if you birthed them? Obviously, a lot of things were answered. You know, my mom and I had a very volatile relationship, and finding out that he wasn't my biological father just made me realize, oh, okay, that's why she treated me the way she did. She didn't love me as a mother. I still love her, but obviously I was that unplanned pregnancy that wrecked her life. And so our relationship was very volatile because I could never understand why mom loved everybody else but didn't love me. And today it answers that question. In her weakness, she made mistakes. I'm a mom. I've made mistakes with my daughter that I've had to apologize for. Nobody is perfect. God is perfect. And so we learn, and the best thing to do is to fail forward. And so Belly to Brain was founded I always just had a yearning in my heart to pay it forward, to be that person that, like Oma Alna was to me, is to teach people that no matter your circumstances, you can be better. You can break that blood curse. You break the chain. Be the one to break the chain. You don't have to go to varsity straight out of school to get your varsity degree. Do it for yourself. Find an employer who will help you pay your varsities for you, but be that best student. I'm not saying be the A+ student. Some of us don't have the capabilities of an A, but if you're a D student, be the best D student. Pitch up, study, do the work, especially if somebody's sponsoring that for you. You know, and then obviously I was toying quite some time with the idea of what type of nonprofit would I want to do. And I was just traveling the one day and the words Belly to Brain came to me. And it's, you know, we all talk about educating children, but how do you educate a hungry child? So Belly to Brain, feed the belly and you feed the brain. Also period poverty, where you've got girls missing up to a term of school because they don't have access to something as simple as a pad. You know, we received a wonderful gift of reusable pads made by the SACBW,
yes,
the ladies that made this.
Correct.
And that to us is such a phenomenal gift because that's 35 parcels of 3 pads that we can give 35 girls that we know these 35 girls will now have a full year of school and not miss school because of, and I don't want to call it an indignity. You know, we want to teach boys that a period is a beautiful thing that's happening to a girl because she's becoming a woman and her body is getting ready to bear children. So the boys need to be taught to embrace and be proud of these girls and what they're going through. Some go through pain with it, but just, especially if a girl has a chlipsy, be a gentleman to her and cover her back with a blazer or something and help her be dignified in this womanhood as well. And that's how Belly to Brain was born. And we've done many other projects. We've counseled rape victims. We work with safe houses. So it's not just feeding schemes, but it's finding that need and filling a need.
Education is extremely important, but I have met people that's got varsity degrees and are nothing, and will never become anything, and people that's not had any education, further education, that's done fantastic stuff in their lives. I spoke to a lady yesterday, and I actually went to one of their bursary days at the Tshwane University of Technology. She's the professor and she's the acting dean at this stage. And she talks about you have to show up.
Correct.
Show up and then stuff will happen for you. You can't think that sit back and think things are going to happen to you. Go and work, try and get some experience, and then try and get education through that.
Well, if we just look across our shores, somebody like Richard Branson, he doesn't have a varsity degree, but he shows up every time because he went and he researched and he took the information available to him to be this phenomenal businessman that he is today. I sat around a lunch table with my now ex-husband and his friends, and they all have varsity degrees. They were comparing how many degrees each one has between them, and I sat there kind of embarrassed because, yes, I've got my tax diploma, but I don't have a BCom or anything like that, and I just kept quiet, and I thought, I can't even engage in this conversation. And I was quite embarrassed by that, and I was quite annoyed about that because they knew this, and I thought, now you guys are having this bravado conversation, and I can't weigh in, and it's embarrassing. But then his friend turned around and said to me, Dom, you might not have the degree, but you have something far more valuable than we have. You have life experience, far more than we can ever tune into. And that to me was such a compliment from him, because they recognized the fact that, albeit that I don't have this tertiary education, that by showing up and learning the life skills and taking from other people and listening in on those conversations.
Absolutely.
There's that saying, if you want to bark with the big dogs, you have to learn to pee high. Or, meng jou met die semels en die varke vreet jou op. Do you want to be a semel or do you want to be a big dog?
And that's it. As I said, I've met a lot of people that's never gone to varsity. That's
correct.
Amazing business people.
Yeah.
And then people that's gone to varsity and has done nothing with it. They just they do nothing with their education.
It's possible that these people who don't have the degrees that become something in their lives have started as the reception or the filing clerk and worked their ways up in the organizations, learning everything about their organization to then run that organization. They will employ the degreed individuals to make sure that they have a phenomenal force behind them to make a success out of it. But don't limit yourself because you don't have that tertiary education. But don't limit yourself by having a tertiary education and doing nothing with the tools that you've been blessed with.
Absolutely. So one of the other ladies that I've interviewed, I think it was last year, and we've also become amazing friends, she actually tells us a story about her mother was a maid in the house, in a house, and she loves animals, and she used to be fed underneath the table with the dogs.
Oh my goodness.
And this lady has got a doctoral degree because in nature conservation, because her mom made sure that she actually studied, and she took it from there, and
correct.
She fought her way up. And it doesn't mean if you can't study right after school that you can't go and study further.
When I chat to the kids or mentor young adults, I always say to them, up until the age of 18 or let's say 21, you can blame your parents for your lot in life, whether they didn't provide for you, whether they were absentee parents, whether they didn't give you the opportunity to go to varsity. But after you become that adult, as a 21-year-old, you are now allowed to sign contracts. It's up to you. Don't be that 30-year-old that says, well, my parents, this and that. You've had 9 years to change your dynamic. Now it's on you.
You have a bad background in terms of you've been abused, but you stood up and you changed your life. And that's what I'm trying to also do through 16 Days of Action. Don't just say, I would like things to change. Take that action.
Be the action.
Be the action. And and we talk about it often. It's 365 days of action. It's not only 16 days of action that we're talking
It's like
about.
Valentine's Day. Why do you want to just share your love with somebody one day a year? It's what you do every day, making that cup of tea. Every day of action, when you see somebody in a mall or whatever that you can see that is having abusive behavior, take action then. Call the security guards. You might not have the skills to take action, but be that relay. Pass that relay on to the person who can take authority on that, but don't be quiet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be that friend, that male friend at the table when you're sitting in a restaurant and a little young girl walks past and one of your friends speaks up and says something like, yes, if only she was older, I would, Be that friend who speaks up and says, how can you say something like that looking at a young girl like that? Be the voice of reason.
So, before I go back again to Brian and some of the other projects that you've been involved in, Mrs. South Africa. Tell us a little bit about that.
What an amazing experience. I've always been extremely...
You clean up very nicely. I've seen some.
You know, when the peanut butter gets smeared off, you know, we tend to shine a little bit, yes. Well, I entered Mrs. South Africa in 2019. I turned 40 in December 2018, giving away my age. And I've always been very fascinated by the Miss SA process. I'm a fervent follower. I watch it every year. And it always fascinated me, their journey. How, you know, what is the journey getting onto that stage and doing the ramp walk? And because you see little excerpts of their adventures that they have, whether it's Sun City or whatever they do, and I'd always wonder, what is this all about? And then I got married, and suddenly all this Mrs. South Africa social media started popping up in my feed, and I thought, wow, there's a platform for married women. And this friend of my bestie Angie, my Jiminy Cricket, said to me, "Man, enter." And I said, "No, I can't. You know, I'm a plus size girl. I'm a big girl. You know, I can't go and compete on a ramp with these women." And with Mrs. SA, there's no limit on your weight, whether you have tattoos. I mean, we're women, we've given birth, we've been through a journey of life, you know, we have battle scars. So it's a platform that allows women to come and just celebrate being women, being a part of this life. And it's a beautiful mentorship program. So I entered in 2019, and just loved everything, sucked the marrow out of that, because, you know, it's not just about entering, getting your sash, getting the semi-finalist sash, finalist sash, and then getting done up and make-up and being pretty on stage. There is a lot that happens in 9 months. We work for charities, we get to take part in workshops that just amplifies our journey in life. I couldn't do makeup, not for a day. It would be a little bit of mascara, and that I was taught how to do makeup properly by the program. You leave, if you take what the program has to offer, you definitely leave a little bit more empowered. I've never been somebody shy about getting up on a stage and speaking in that, but let me tell you, when Matapa Maila, she was the reigning queen that handed over in our year, and she addressed us as semi-finalists, and I sat there all inspired by her, and I thought, what the heck am I doing here? I cannot do what this woman does. But after that 9 months, I was always like, okay, Matapa, my turn, I can do the stage thing. And I didn't take the crown that year. Our wonderful Jacqueline Ferns took the crown, beautiful woman, beautiful soul. But I won the Women Empowerment Award, which to me was an amazing accolade, because it's the directors of Mrs. SA who recognized growth, and the person who grew the most through the program, and recognized the empowerment that we give to others. And that to me was my crown that year.
And that, I think, is what Girls on Fire 16 Days is that empowerment. Our whole being is to change the way people see themselves.
Correct.
Not to be victims. To actually stand tall, because we need to stand tall.
Put those shoulders back, lift that chin up. You know,
absolutely.
The one thing I want to encourage girls with the empowerment is be empowered, but don't be a brat. You know, if you're somebody who has a significant other, you don't have to empower by shouting and screaming and trying to be a domineering force. Be a loving force. Empowerment has very many different faces. So to just be a nurturer and mentor yourself. Empowerment is mentoring yourself as well. You don't have to become a bully by being empowered.
Yeah. Now one of the other ladies from the South African business women, she says, be kind to yourself first, because otherwise you can't be kind to other people.
Well, you know, the Bible, one of the things that God gave us is to love thy neighbor like yourself. And many people misconstrue that, because the thing is, God says you need to love yourself, and it's not a vanity love. But how can I love you if I can't love myself?
Absolutely.
I don't know. If I don't know how to love me, how can I love you? And it's absolutely not a vanity, intimate thing. It's a powerful, powerful thing to see you, that I can say, you know, Lynette, I see you and I see your worth, and you are amazing in what you do. You know, that's love.
But you're an absolutely amazing speaker, and you can see how you actually project the way you feel, and that's pretty important, and it brings that self-worth of ladies out.
Thank you.
Other projects that you're involved in for Belly to Brand, you do a lot of charity projects. You're very, very busy, and then you still have the accounting, which I suppose pays the bills.
Yes, it's the accounting and the gym. So the gym is a post-divorce project. So it's a boxing gym. So we love to have, we've had recently quite a few dads and their kids sign up, which to me is an amazing thing. So dads are bringing their kids to the gym, and that is awesome. And through everything that I went through, especially 2022, that was a doozy of a year. Exercise was really the thing that got me through, exercise and prayer, because you need to exercise. And I'm not saying be a marathon runner or whatever, but a little bit every day just to get that serotonin going. So yes, so with Belly to Brain, we self-funded. We don't get any government funding, so we have beautiful souls who donate who believe in us. My partner's goddaughter, she's a niece to me. She asked me the other day, she said, well, do you need donations or do you need volunteers? And it's 50-50, because you can all have all the money in the world, but if you have nobody to help you do those projects
and believe in the cause.
In the cause, absolutely. And then you can have all the volunteers on hand, but if you don't have the funds to purchase the ingredients or the items you need for those outreaches.
You were talking about sandwiches. How many sandwiches did you make?
Yes.
For that one time? Tell us about it, because that was an amazing number of sandwiches that you made.
So every year for Madiba Day, we do what's called the Sandwich Day. And this was born in 2018. I'm part of a network called BNI, Business Networking International. And in 2018, there was a BNI chapter called BNI Bizmasters, and they asked us, we were part of BNI The Verve, just to come help them make sandwiches the day in 2018. And it was they were donating the sandwich to a school that had a feeding scheme, and it was a great project. So the following year we said, well, let's turn this into a bit of a competition, because I am a little bit of a competitive spirit. So we said, look,
I didn't notice.
not that, you know. And then so the Verve challenged Bizmasters to see, well, who could make the most sandwiches that year. So Verve made in their venue and Bizmasters made in their venue, and we nominated organizations to do this. And that year we made 3,814 samis, which was great for the Verve. And it became like an inter-chapter thing. Then 2020 we were shut down because government said that we cannot feed the community, because if somebody gets COVID from one of our sandwiches. So we would rather have people dying of hunger.
And that was the time that they really needed food.
You can purchase a packet of chips from Checkers, but I can't feed you. From the product I bought from Checkers. What is the mentality?
It was crazy times. It was the times that you couldn't have cooked chickens.
Right? You couldn't buy
underclothes.
You couldn't. Your children were home, but you can't buy toys to play with them at home because they're not at school. It was just amazing. So 2020 we were shut down. Then 2021 we did the whole big inter-chapter challenge, and we each had to submit what our nominated amount of sandwiches to be. So Belly to Brain then became the outreach leg of our chapter, and we each had to fill in how many sandwiches we would nominate. And instead of typing in 1,200, I put in 12,000 by accident. I put in an extra zero. So I phoned the
accountant, eh?
Yeah, I know, right?
Sorry, I'm just
adding that extra zero there, the tax man will say, hi, thank you. And so I phoned the organizer. I said, please correct my number. I put an extra zeros there. And she said to me, oh, can't you handle it? I said, it's on, we'll do it. And we did it, you know, we hustled, we got, we just did an outreach, we did a call for funding because Belly to Brain is Section 18A registered for donations of peanut butter jam, and 2021 we did 12,000 sandwiches, 2022, 13, 2024, 2023 last year we did 13 and a half. We said, let's see how we can do it this year, and we put the number up for 16,000, and to raise the funds, Cradlestone Mall is my venue sponsor, so we do the outreach in Cradlestone Mall on the 18th of July. But to raise the funds, I had this I'll be kind on camera, and I approached Kamu, who's the marketing manager of Cradlestone. I said to look, because it's for the 67 minutes of Madiba, let's do 67 hours, and I'll lock myself in a cage, which we call the Change to Uncage project. So it's 4 days in the mall, in a cage, to raise funds to pay for the ingredients.
You could go out to go go to the toilet? That's the first question everybody asks me.
Absolutely. So yes, I have a volunteer who pops into the cage and sits while I quickly do a run, and I've managed to source the shortest route to the quickest loo in the mall, so I know that mall backwards now. And yes, and people would come in and support us and make their donations to us, and my BNI Prestige chapter raised 20,000 Rand of the 60,000 budget we needed to. I mean, it was peanut butter and jam galore. I mean, it was 2 tons of peanut butter and 2 tons of jam then, and 32,000 slices of bread, you can imagine. But we did it. We started 8 o'clock the morning of the 18th of July. I get taken out of the cage if we raise the funds, and we just start smearing. And we did it. We made 16,000 sandwiches that day that was donated to the various organizations that we support.
That's absolutely awesome. Tell me, in terms of a hungry child, I suppose, can't learn. And it must be quite stressful for some parents that do care about their children. I do know there was a story once on the radio station of the guy that gave his kids food, and then he used to boil an empty pot with water to tell his kids that he's going to eat something now, but he never ate. So I think that it must be, and I think the economic situation, especially since lockdown, has been quite bad. So how hungry are kids out there, and how does it influence
You see the kids on the street. You see them on the street. Now, I don't know if it's a parent putting the kid on the street to beg because people's hearts will rather give to the kid than to the adult. But the fact is, if you're that desperate for something to eat and you're putting your child on the street, we see it. Just take a drive down Hendrik Potgieter. At almost every robot, there are children begging. If you look at the feeding schemes that are in schools, you've got kids that are standing in a line for peanut butter and jam salmi. Now, to you and I, peanut butter and jam salmi is a snack with a glass of milk, but to them, it's their only meal for that day. Now, can you imagine? I don't know if you've ever gone to bed hungry, where perhaps you've just had a rough day or whatever, but when you put your head down in that pillow and that tummy is grumbling, imagine it's been grumbling for a week, where all you've had is perhaps water, and water from a tap, not even a water that's filtered or anything like that. How do you focus to try and get an education? And I know we spoke about, don't limit yourself if you don't, for example, have a tertiary education. But education is key, because so many people find themselves unemployable if they don't have a matric, because many of the job interviews out there, the first thing they look for is a matric, right? And then you limit yourself, and that's where you find people are in these abusive GBV relationships, because they can't get out, because the person doing the abuse is the one who holds the purse strings. Now, if you're not empowered because you don't have that matric, how are you going to get yourself out of that situation? How are you going to get yourself and your children out of that situation? By becoming employable to be able to be the provider to your children, to feed those children. Hunger is a pandemic.
So, is there anything else that you would like to add? Any of the projects that you would like to, anything else that you would like to add?
Well, we've recently become a food sock reseller, which we are so proud of and so grateful for. Yes, so it looks like a tube, and one food sock is 50 Rand. So for every food sock that we sell, we get 10 Rand back, which helps our outreaches. And one food sock can feed 4 adults or 6 children. So imagine a full meal for 50 Rand. And it's actually quite delicious. There's 9 different flavors. So if you want to know more about that, do contact me on dominique@bellytobrain.org.za. And we're currently busy with our December project, Blessing Bags. So we have 20 kids who we foster for Christmas, that we send out an outreach for people to sponsor a gift, their stationery for the new year, and a clothing item. And we are so blessed that all 20 kids have been sponsored. All we need now is the funds to do the catering for that day, because we give them a big Christmas party and just let them feel seen and loved. And then obviously once a month we feed Apple Park. We do what we call party Kerk with an organisation called Toekoms Venster. So Apple Park is their initiative, but they work with different ministries to support them. So we each take a turn once a month on a Sunday. And actually this, on the 17th of November is our turn again, and then the 15th of December. So we go once a month, we do a little mini church service for them, and then we feed 150 people once a month. So yes, we need funding. We are Section 18A registered, so we're looking for the corporates, those who need to do their CSI spend, because we find that we're in need of a vehicle at this stage, because I'll get a call for donations that we can collect. Doppio Zero at Cradlestone Mall has partnered with us now for their, what they call day-old bread. I mean, it's beautiful bread. We were called yesterday, and I literally had my entire car filled with bread that we then take to the safe house that we work with, because they have a creche that supplements their income, and they can feed their kiddies with that bread. But my vehicle can't take it anymore. So we need a vehicle for Belly to Brain, and it's all this funding. Next year, our vision is to open a safe house for boys, because obviously there's a lot of speak about women empowerment, but I have a daughter, and I want her to one day marry an upstanding male role model, and her boyfriend and his family are phenomenal, so she's very blessed to have a boy who's had the right role models in his life. But through women empowerment, to teach our boys that this is not a communication tool. This is to teach the boys that they do have a voice, and by educating them to love on the woman in their lives and to support the women in their lives. You know, God made Eve out of his rib, out of Adam's rib, and to have this boys' sanctuary, we have male mentors, female mentors who will guide these boys to know that they too have a voice. And that comes with a budget of over 200,000 Rand a month. So we're looking for 2,000 people to do 100 Rand a month debit order, and then we'll be able to do the safe house.
Right. If you've got a message out there for the 16 days of activism or action, that what we call it, what would it be?
No is a full sentence. Do not be quiet. Speak up about the things that are happening to you, because you are not guilty. And be that voice. Be somebody else's textbook one day. Your testimony will be somebody's textbook, and be your own success story. Show up, be there, show up, and do not let your past define your future. You are in control of that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we're going to see each other in the future.
It is so amazing to meet you, and thank you so much for everything you do with Girls on Fire. I think it's an honor to be here with you, and I just love what you do for the girls out there, and we wish you every luck and every blessing that for you to continue the good work that you do.
Thank you very much. Can I give you a hug?
Absolutely. Awesome. This is so awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have practiced and trained, fear won't control me. With my sisters in arms, we will make ourselves heard. We'll stand together. I'm a girl on fire. I'm not a victim. A girl on fire. I'll stand my ground. Girl on fire. I've made a choice. I stand proud. I'm a girl on fire. We're girls